Hit me!
Episode 290.
You've got to throw some cold water on this situation. Start talking about nerd stuff.
You know, nerd culture is mainstream now, so when you use the word nerd derogatorily, it means you're the one that's out of the zeitgeist.
System activate.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. It's a tech podcast. But we are a ton cooler than your typical geek.
You guys rock.
And now, here's Will and Trent.
This is Mark Evan Jackson from everything. You're listening to NetHeads.
Well, thank you, Mark. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark, is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, Trent.
It's fine. It's fine. Daddy's not mad.
I'm glad you're not. I'm pretty perturbed. Anyway, folks, welcome. Another edition of NetHeads. That's right. NetHeads number 290, as Trent was nice enough to say. My name is Will.
I'm Trent.
If you want to take part in the program, you want, anyways, some Twitter, Trent, sing.
Yeah, dude, just use the hashtag NetHeads. Obviously, like our good friend Ash Williams, but also Mike Driscoll, Caper Girl Mel, many others. Shout out to our good friend Zach. Just use the hashtag NetHeads whether you're listening live or after the fact, or you just want to get a hold of us. And we're not doing our jobs that pay monies. We'll get back at you. Hashtag NetHeads. Yeah,
that's the idea. We're here readily available and communicating with you whenever the heck we can. And we always like to hear from you, even if it's after the fact. I do especially like those moments where it's been a few days since everything got posted, and suddenly you're getting like a message popping up in hashtag NetHeads. That's always nice. And it's not somebody talking about basketball, but that's not really the season for it right now, right?
Yeah. It's not March Madness.
Nope, not yet. It's coming though, because
Gross.
The football, I know, the footballs is over, and now we're all slowly inching towards the baseballs and the basketballs.
You know, your family being sports fans in the realm of bases balls, have you watched Brockmire at all?
Who be what he went on? Was it
the IFC television program Brockmire?
I haven't even heard of it, so I guess I'm playing my hand there.
Fantastic! It's Hank Azaria. Riffing off of the character he created for The Simpsons, Kent Brockmire. This is another Brockmire character who is a sportscaster, and I mean it's pretty crass, it's pretty dirty, and it's 100% freaking hilarious. 2 seasons are on Hulu. If you want to catch up at all, as a baseballs fan, I would assume that your family might enjoy it. When I say your family, I mean not your children.
Well, you know what? Now that you mention it, I now finally remember it because it's like oldies. It's like the oldies baseball because he's got the slick back hair, thin mustache. Yep. And I'm sure he's in full, what I like to call Hank Azaria mode, if you will.
Oh yeah, he's like deep into this character. It's fantastic.
Okay, well, ain't nothing wrong with that, my friend. Nothing wrong with that at all. Was there anything else I wanted to say? No, I got nothing on that, but I'll be sure to check that one out. I really will.
Yeah, it's great. Short seasons too. I think there's like 10 episodes. Super funny though. Amanda Peet is in the heavily in the first season. Very funny. It's great.
How many seasons is that in now?
2 so far. I think the 3rd season might be airing now.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Very cool.
I'm not sure. I'm on the Hulu schedule of things.
I understand. I know exactly what you're talking about there. As a matter of fact, I've been spending a lot of my time on Hulu lately, Trent, in a completely useless fashion because you forget some things, Trent. We live in a world now where there are these brothers, these Russo brothers, right? And these guys, they've been helming the America's captain, and then they switched over to the Avengers. And directing the Infinity War and the follow-up Endgame. Yep. And you forget that these were some of the producing partners and episode directors of one of our former favorite television shows, Community.
Community, yeah.
And so I have decided that I would go back. I've convinced myself the answers to Avengers Infinity War.
They're in Community somewhere.
Look, I think I'm on to something here. I mean, if you look at Community, it had alternate universes. It had very meta storylines. Actually, you know what I will tell you is I've already determined exactly where Community jumped the shark, and it was immediately after the Abed claymation Christmas episode.
Oh yes,
because after that it goes from genius to absurd. It was borderline on the D&D episode for sure. So really, I think that Community sadly did probably peak within season 2, even though it did get up to 6 seasons. But I will say that one of the episodes predating that same said jumping of the shark was the one, you may not remember it. Abed is he goes into like a Terminator-like mode where he is this vicious insult dealer to everyone. Because the girls that he rolls with, they are smoted by the mean girls, and then Abed apparently has an uncanny talent for it. And in one of the
smited, I think, is the past tense. Smitten is an adverb.
Oh, I thought it was a special brand of mittens sold at the Secret Stash.
It's for cats.
Yeah, okay. So the
Smitten kittens.
So in that episode, Abed is running a heads-up display very similar to the Terminator, like we saw in the show, and in it has just some of the in this day and age where you've got high definition and the ability to pause. The heads-up display has so many elements of the season to come in it. Like Abed has a reminder to record Cougar Town. He's got
yeah.
The to-do list is to build a blanket fort, to order Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and schedule time with Mom. So they just like put so much out there of what was coming up right in that in that silly heads-up display.
Oh yeah, well, and it's crazy like how prolific their television directorships and mostly directorships goes. Like they between the two of them, they did 14 episodes, including the pilot of Arrested Development. Only their second project they ever directed in television was the pilot. And then Community, increasingly poor decisions of Todd Margaret, which I loved. Happy Endings, a show that was ended far before it should have. Same thing goes with Animal Practice, and their producers on the new premiere that Mr. Smith went to a couple weeks ago, the comic book adaptation of Rick Remender's Deadly Class.
Yeah, the sci-fi television show. So
yeah,
I mean, they got a long tail in TV now, and we sort of saw certain elements of it, like Civil War, the stair car from Arrested Development was in there, and actually,
right, yeah, oh, that's right, yeah, you're right.
And in there two Captain America helmed episodes, both Winter Soldier and Civil War. There was in each of those at least one of the actors from Community. In the first one, we had the guy who played Abed. He was one of the SHIELD agents that was working at the Triskelion when they were coming in, and then. At the very beginning of Civil War, we had Rash. What's his first name? Jim Rash.
Yes, Jim Rash.
Jim Rash,
Academy Award winner Jim Rash,
who has also played our most favorite Dean of all time, right?
Yeah. And also Adam Pally was in Winter Soldier, I think, as the guy who's like kind of in love with Captain America without knowing that he's Captain America in the Apple Store.
Oh yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah, and he was on Happy Endings.
Oh, there you go. See, so they work all these little elements in, which is nice that they pay those tributes. Speaking of Infinity War, I know last time we went hard and heavy, Trent, into the tech talk at the very beginning.
We did.
But I'm definitely not going to go that route because, the big game happened on Sunday, or as I like to call it, Snackapalooza.
Yeah.
And this year was very challenging because we are very heavily into the WW program, and I'm not talking about something I made up. We're following them Weight Watchers points. And so I had to come up with what I would consider Weight Watchers approved type of snacks.
Oh, okay.
So I came up with we found a recipe for Cajun chicken potato skins, which were really good.
Ooh.
And then I had salsa and the guacamole.
Do you use like a chicken broth to give it the chicken flavor?
No. There's really cubed chicken in there because on the
Okay,
freestyle program, chicken is no points, Trent. I know. I know this makes no sense, but and that's what they tell you to. Just because something is no points doesn't mean you can eat all you want of it.
Right.
You should still practice sound thinking. Sorry, I got a new light in here, and I just keep staring up at it now, which is it's going to lead to blind. Yeah, I'm going to go blind.
Go towards the light.
No. In the end, you remember she said to stay away from the light. So
yeah.
That's
right.
So with that, we had to come up with the snacks, and there was a funny moment, Trent. I have to bring this up. I tweeted about it too, and I'm not proud of this, okay? Because mind you, my teenage daughter Emily had gone with a friend to feed her horse, take care of her pig, because that's the kind of area I live in.
Yeah.
And she had no interest in the Super Bowl, and clearly neither did her friend. So it was just Denise. It was Blair, who made a special appearance on the last show.
She did.
And these are the only people that are in the room. And the moment I noticed that an Avengers Endgame commercial is on, it's almost like I'm in a crowded hall of strangers, because suddenly I just brought out, everybody shut up. I'm not kidding.
You get looks like, who the hell's this guy?
But it was just my wife and my kid, who mind you, weren't speaking at that given moment.
Yeah, it was just a reaction, right? It's fight or flight.
It was a knee-jerk reaction. But I was very interested to discover that there were basically only very few good commercials this Super Bowl. I don't know if you watched any of it, but
no, I did not. I watched the second season of The Punisher instead.
Oh, there you go. I still haven't, not building a big case for Netflix. I still haven't watched it.
Okay,
mainly because I saw one review that just said it still suffered with the Marvel Netflix issues, which led me to believe, okay, it's 13 episodes and there's some padding in there. So anyway, there weren't very many good commercials, in my opinion. Amazon had a great commercial where they talked about their failed products that they didn't come out with, and it featured like Harrison Ford and his dog has an Alexa collar for dogs.
Okay, I heard some colleagues talking about that one.
Yeah, that was a good one. And then there was one for the bubbly soda. It's like a mineral water with flavor, and
like a LaCroix.
Yeah, but and in it's got Michael Bublé calling it Bublé. And so that was comical, but not really great commercials. And I was very shocked to find that Marvel, both for Endgame and for Captain Marvel, they definitely didn't. They know they don't have to advertise these things because it was a 30-second spot that was nothing but teaser clips. Really,
sure,
it was just montages. And interestingly, though, I mentioned both Netflix and now Captain Marvel. I don't know if you know this, Trent, but the line in the sand has been drawn. Captain Marvel is officially going to be the first movie that will not be going to Netflix. It will be going to the new Disney Plus that will be coming later in 2019.
Okay.
So their
that makes
subscription
sense.
service, we've got some things to look forward to with Scarlet Witch and Vision, and with Winter Soldier and who, it doesn't matter. They're just going to throw all this original content as try to get us to subscribe.
Right.
But I was interested to find that out. So that's going to be the first one because Ant-Man and the Wasp has dropped on Netflix, and
I saw, yeah.
Yeah, and so that we got that one. But that's it. I mean, that's the last Marvel movie that came out. So there will be no more Marvel movies on Netflix, at least no new ones coming to it.
Did Doctor Strange ever make it to Netflix?
Yeah, it did ages ago. It came and went.
Okay.
Ew, I guess is as you say, huh?
Yeah, exact. Gross. Yeah, it's interesting. You sent me the link from Deadline, and they're saying, well, first and foremost, I hope that they have the rights to use the Hollywood sign on their headmast. But that being said, I do. They said 150 million profit loss. Right?
I get it why you say that now.
Yeah. But I mean, that's 150 million that they won't be getting from Netflix. However, you've got to factor into how much they're going to be making off of new subscriptions to the service, right? My guess is it's probably going to be a wash. I don't think the mouse makes decisions without running the numbers first.
You know what? They've got so much money. I think the reality is they don't care.
Except for launching Solo when they did.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong.
Well, I just think they're really at the point where they're market proof and they don't care. They just don't care. It doesn't matter. And that's why like they didn't really have to show us much with Captain Marvel and Endgame, because those are respectively 1 month and a little over 2 months away. So what do they care there? I'm with you though on the Solo thing. I'm still baffled why they released it when they did. Why it came out in May, it makes no sense. I still think that would have been a movie that had been received differently had it come out just a mere,
Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
There was no big releases on Thanksgiving weekend. That is a high spot for launching off, the last section part of the season, rushing right into the end of the Oscars. Like, to me,
you got everybody wanting to get away from family.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. No, to me, and we already had like blockbuster fatigue just 2 weeks prior, and people were still going to see Avengers when Solo came out. So it was they kind of cannibalized their own market on that one.
Well, and that's an interesting point you bring up too, because when you think about it, if I'm not mistaken, Black Panther was out on home video and still in theaters because it was making so much money.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And I'll tell you, there's some items somewhere behind here on my wall that came out from. I didn't even attend the special fan event from Solo, but turnout was so low for it. We got them. Like I got the dice here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, you were saying the because you guys weren't there for the fan event, but you were there same day, right?
Yeah, exactly. And now they're actually doing fan events 3 weeks in advance for any one of the ticketing services. You could have seen How to Train Your Dragon early. There was another one that came out early, if you use these services. And, I'm still trying to burn through an amazing prize that Emily won when we were on the IMDb boat. I haven't paid for a movie now for a year. I'm just waiting for that Atom gift certificate to run out for the Atom app, which is really great. I do have to say, between like the different movie service apps you can get, even though AMC is very much oriented towards their own service now, they have their own A-list, and you can see like 3 movies a month and
okay.
All
See,
that jazz.
To me, that's smart to me, man.
Well, yeah, because that way you get them coming in, and you're making your money at the concession stand. So what do you care?
Yep.
But with the Atom app, I will say the one thing I do like about it is not only was I able to add the Stubbs reward card to it, but it also had that there for me. So that way they're like, and your Stubbs reward number, your phone, and I was like, can you scan that? And zip zap zoop, they did it, which is great because I can't log into my Stubbs account for some reason. I don't know why. It's just it's eluding me, Trent. It's eluding me.
Yeah.
It got away from me. And I can't get back in.
Sometimes you opened up the stubby Pandora box, and it's out there, and it's gotten away from you, and that's fine.
Well, more importantly, you keep telling me, or you keep bringing up, well, are you using a password management program? And I don't, and still I am plagued to this day by not remembering passwords now.
Having to reset them on a constant basis.
I just did today because I just had to. Okay. Last show, I mentioned that one of my coworkers, I did mention this, right? One of my coworkers challenged me to the Apple Fitness competition thing.
I don't know if you mentioned it on air last week.
Okay. If you follow me on social media, I know I pointed out the fact that I'd love for you to follow me on Instagram, and thank you to all the people that did. I've now gotten at least a 20-person buffer away from my daughter, so I've still remained being cool. My favorite response was
close.
Will, I followed you on Instagram because we just can't let the youth of America win. So I'm like, okay, whatever it takes. I'm with you on that one. So one of my coworkers had done that. They challenged me through the fitness app because you can do this through Apple's activity features. You can not only share your activity with friends, but then you can challenge them to a competition. And in this case, I'm like, oh, okay, sure, click. And then I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's 20 years younger than me. What the hell am I thinking? But thankfully, he didn't pay attention to the way it works. Long, boring story short, There's 3 areas. There's movement, there's exercise, and then there's standing. Those are the 3 rings that you try to complete, right?
Okay.
And you get a certain number of points for the percentage you complete throughout the day with a maximum possible of 600. He didn't know, he wasn't really paying attention to how it worked. So the first day of the competition, he only wore his watch when he exercised. So I finished with like...
so you got all your standing points in.
Well, I also went for a run that morning. I had done the standing. I had done just regular movement as well. And through all that, I instantly had a 200-point advantage, at which point I realized, okay, all I have to do at the worst case scenario is max out every day, and I've got this. And then I've got bragging rights for defeating somebody 20 years my junior.
Right.
Which I did. So if you followed me on Instagram, and thank you for that, you will have noticed that I have been running for the past 7 frickin' days in a row. A 5K every morning when I wake up, Trent.
Lord.
And sometimes on the days he would also exercise, it would be elliptical at night as well. At which point I told him again, I have won, and I will never ever do this again.
Yeah,
because
George, you went out on a high note.
No, I'm a broken man, Trent. I am a broken man. My core muscles are sore. My leg muscles are sore. Because between all of that, I collectively, over the span of 7 days, traversed a marathon, okay? Granted, one spaced out over 7 days, which, why else would you do it? Don't do it like all in one day. What the hell?
Yeah. Well, unless you're the one lady that was mentioned on the Goldbergs a couple weeks ago who just rode the subway.
I get that reference. Yeah. I never remember that story, but still Goldberg's one of my favorite shows. It's just good quality, consistent entertainment.
Yes.
So that's why I had been doing all this running, and I did not get a good night's sleep last night, so I joyfully slept in this morning. And the damnedest thing too with the staying within points on Weight Watchers or WW, and doing all that, you would think, my gosh, with all that exercise, Will, you must have had such a weight loss, right? I'm sure that's what you're thinking.
Yeah.
What's your guess, Trent? What's your guess?
8 pounds.
That would be wonderful. I lost 2 fucking pounds. Pardon my French.
Shit. Dang it.
2 pounds. 2. But that's because, and now there is a science behind this though. Because I was exercising every day, and whether I realize it or not, because the runs were so close together, I was thinking, wow, this run is going really lousy. My pace must just be crap. No, I'm subconsciously actually running a little bit faster. So I'm constantly basically breaking my muscles down to a certain point. So what happens when that does that? You get some inflammation and your body retains a little more water. In the next couple days, I will find out how much weight I have truly lost, because I know I'm feeling leaner, but...
Yeah, I was just going to say, and muscle, you're gaining muscle at the same time, and that's going to balance, not really balance, but as you're gaining muscle, that won't necessarily be just fat lost, right? That you're measuring the gravitational pull on you, not like density of body percent fat.
Right. Yeah. And numbers and science and math, that's at least that's what I'm going to attribute to. But seriously, 2 pounds? That's so discouraging, man.
Yeah, I know. I had 1 week where I was so saddened because I'm only weighing myself usually just once a week, and then I had 1 week where I was like, oh man, I didn't lose any this week, and I suffered through so many potatoes. But then the next time I weighed myself, it had doubled itself. So who knows, if I just had drank more water that night before I weighed myself in the morning or whatever. It's weight is weird.
It really is. It's
bizarre.
It is. It's and I tell you that one of the programs that I got dragged into because it was free, and I'm like, hey, anything to help myself, has you weighing yourself every frickin' day. But it does teach you certain things. Even though I was staying within points for this particular program, if I have tater tots the night before, I guarantee you I will go up the next day.
Totally.
Because they're high in salt and some other stuff. I don't know. I'm convinced
oil.
They just expand. Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
So, hey, but speaking of which, speaking of your potato thing,
Oh, dude.
You never realize the way something as silly as our little podcast can affect people. It seems you, my friend, through talking about your potato hacking, you are changing lives. You are getting people to give it a shot.
It's working for me. And yeah, the first little bit was hard as balls, but it's just like anything. You do it long enough, you kind of learn the tricks to it, and it becomes bearable, and before it becomes not too long habit. But yeah, there's a few people that have been tweeting along, like Caper Girl Mel, and was it who's tweeting with us today? Was it Mike Driscoll?
Fat Greg is all I was remembering.
Oh yeah, Greg Soley. Excuse me. Yeah, Greg Soley. Yeah, and props to Caper Girl Mel. Looks like she's got some success on it. It's not easy. Like, I feel like all I'm ever doing with my free time is peeling and cooking effing potatoes. Like, I swear to God, that's all I do. But dude, so over the weekend, I think I found my best snack of all the potatoes.
This intrigues me. I saw this earlier. This intrigues me.
Yeah, so I bought a industrial, like a commercial fry press, right? So you can cut fries out of potatoes. And now what I'm doing, because the best parts, or at least the easiest way to the parts that cook the fastest are the ends, right?
Right.
And so I've just started chopping up the fries now and baking them all as like fry bits, kind of like at the very bottom of your McDonald's fry sleeve at the end. There's those fry bits down at the bottom.
Oh, you call them fry bits. I call them the potato leavings.
Leavings.
They're the potato leavings. Can't claim that one. Believe it or not, the back recesses of my mind are retaining that from an episode of Married with Children where they're fighting over the toaster leavings.
Oh yes,
flipping
nice.
the toaster over. But no, that's good because you're getting a quicker cook time, and you probably get something along the lines of those picnic potato snacks we used to have as kids.
Yeah, like they taste a lot like potato sticks.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, that's totally just kind of thicker versions of those. They're crunchy. Like, I've apologized to my coworkers because it's by far louder than like a Dorito when I'm eating it. But like, it's by far the best snack and quickest to cook. It's funny how, like, my first week I was like I first tried to like do potato logs, right?
Right.
And then I started doing just like, well, maybe I'll like slice chips, and I tried doing potato chips. And then I'm like, well, fries might work. So then I started chopping fries, and I got the fry cutter, and now I'm just doing the bits. And man, as of right now, it's by far the best snack I've been able to do. It's crazy though. Once you cut and cook, 5 pounds fit into a small lunch sack size paper bag.
A brown lunch bag.
Yep.
By the way, Leroy Velasquez wants to know when the swimsuit portion of the competition is coming up. And Tom Sherlock is pointing out that all you need is protein and veggies. And he also says that your potatoes are delicious and awesome.
Yeah, he's had some of them. The last time he was over, he had some fries. He hasn't had the bits yet, but everyone that tried them at work was surprised at how good they were today. And the bits, I'm telling you, the bits are the way to go.
Now, how are you cooking them though? That's the part that intrigued me the most because, like the best crispiest things I make are in what they call an air fryer, but really what it is, it's a very super tiny, what is that, convection oven.
Yeah. So, like, when you buy an air fryer, all it is it's an upside down hot plate essentially with a fan above the coil, and so it's just blowing that air directly down onto it. So what I do is I put it in my Breville Smart Oven for 30 minutes at 350 to kind of dry out all the moisture, and then after that I dump it in the air fryer for about another 30 minutes. Every 10 minutes I'll move it around. Shake it up, and that's it. It's good to go.
Now, let me ask you, Trent, when you're doing all this, because one of the meals I cooked last week, what I did, and the important thing when you're doing the potato hack is, now I'm going to say a bunch of words, but I don't know what they mean, okay?
Yeah.
And I'll give you my layman interpretation is what I really should say. So the important thing about the potatoes is you need to cook them.
Yes.
You need to let them cool, and then
Correct.
you're going to reheat them, because the idea is that what you're doing is you're building up these things called resistant starches. And I
Yes.
believe the reason why they're called resistant is because your body doesn't absorb them. So you don't get the negative impact of eating potatoes. The more you go
Correct.
through this cycle with your potatoes, actually the more resistant starches are created. So
Yes.
like when I was, there was one day I was rushing to make some homemade fries. I don't have the press like you do, so I had to cut my golden potatoes myself.
Yeah.
So to expedite the process, because I was under a tight schedule, I cut them up, steamed them, so that way they would steam faster.
Yep.
Spread them out on a metal tray for cooling, and then threw them in the air fryer.
Yeah.
They came out perfect, and they were, allegedly along lines with the program. But how are you preparing yours? At what point are you cooking? At what point are you cutting? And what point, etc.
Yeah, so I'll cut them first, peel and cut, and then I blanch them. So that's putting them in room temperature water, and then putting them in water, and then right to the point of where it boils, and then you take it out and then cool it immediately, very quickly, and that's blanched. So at that point you could even freeze them if you wanted to at that point, or put them in at that point they won't turn black when they're sitting in water for more than 24 hours. And then after that, I will put them in the convection oven. So before I eat them, they're technically have been cooked 3 different times.
Ooh, so you're getting really, and that's the reason why, as you mentioned earlier, you're eating about 40 pounds of potatoes a week.
A week, yeah. No, yeah, I go through 4 5-pound bags. Yeah.
And so basically, I think it was like, was it
8.
Was it the month?
8 5-pound bags.
Yeesh. And was it the basically the month leading up to Thanksgiving is when you started this?
It was a week and a half before Christmas.
Okay, I knew it was one of the holidays.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it was when I started. So what? It's been like 2 months, and
Not even that.
Yeah. So I've gone from my weigh-in was 278, and I'm down to 250 right now.
Oh wow, you're actually throwing out the real numbers. I'm not brave enough to do that. But good for you.
It's so crazy how, like, I don't know. I think, and we've talked about this before too. I think like a huge part of it is just being aware of what you're consuming. You know what I mean? And that's why I think WW does work so well for the people that like put in the effort, right? Like you're just being aware of what it is you're putting into your body affects, it's the practice of mindfulness in eating as well. It's just not mindless shoving things into your mouth. So then when you do eat other things, like you're actually like eating it and enjoying it.
Yeah. And like, and it also kind of opened the reason why I like that program. God, when did this become a weight loss program? But the reason why I like it is because it does kind of make me redefine what I consider food. Like there would never have been a time where I would have said, you know what I'm going to do for lunch? I'm going to crack open a can of tuna. I'm going to crack open a can of cannellini beans, the white beans, and I'm going to get 2 tablespoons of pre-cooked bacon bits, and I'm going to chop up some baby spinach. I'm going to throw that together. That's going to be my lunch. I would have thought that's gross and disgusting, but when you're like looking for low point food so that way you can have a normal dinner with everybody, that suddenly makes you kind of look at, well, what works? Another thing I've done with my palate is I've actually reduced salt, probably to the most extreme I ever have in my adult life. I don't use it. I will go for more spicy items now over salt. So, like I'll add either Tapatio or maybe even some sriracha sauce to my morning eggs. I use a lot of ground black pepper, like a madman.
Yep. Yeah.
But I will say that amongst all of this stuff, I really hope that there is kind of a drop now that I'm not exercising every single frickin' day, because I seem to be just stuck not in a rut. I don't want to say that I've plateaued.
Right.
But it really seems like, okay, I'll put the number out there. I'm in the 270s, and it seems like my body just doesn't want to leave there. It's like, no.
Right.
We've been cruising at some pretty high numbers, and we don't want to go any lower. We don't,
Right.
And I just don't know what to think about that. But you know what? Let's get off the weight loss crap because
Yeah.
you know, we're definitely not health experts. We're just dabblers in this
no.
crazy world.
Yeah.
But I will admit that even the times that I've done some potato hacking, you know, we always complain about there is no magic pill that you can take for weight loss, and truthfully, it is. It's just a pill this big, and it's called a potato. It really is.
Yeah, exactly. And you can eat as much as you want.
Actually, the guy who was it Tim Steele that wrote the book on this?
Yeah.
The funniest part was in studying nutrition, he actually came across an article from the 1800s that talked about this. I think it was in France. So,
Yeah.
like people that have been suffering from overconsumption of food and the rich foods, they say, you know, he stumbled across this article. It's like put him on a potato diet and it'll bring back some gauntness and some leanness to him. And it's just like, can you imagine finding something so simple yet so helpful even back then? Some truths are just simple and easy to follow.
Well, earlier tonight, if you're following the hashtag NetHeads, I tweeted out there was a gentleman who was on the Rogan podcast not too long ago, and his name, if I can find it, Chris Kresser, a nutritionist, a proponent of the keto diet principally. But he talks, and if you click on the link, it goes directly to the point where he's talking about resistant starches and how it works. And kind of the history where he talks about where Tim Sale found, you know, what he kind of based the diet off of from the 1840s. But yeah, it's apparently and this does align with like his keto rhetoric, but like resistant starches were something that, you know, humans used to eat quite a bit, and then just out of, you know, the evolution of preservatives and the way we prepare food and eat it now, they've kind of just disappeared from our diet completely. So we're still evolved to enjoy the taste of things that have a resistant starch. We're just not eating it within the resistant starch form.
Yeah, and I have to admit, you know, it sounds horrible and bland to just eat potatoes, and I can imagine this would be very difficult if you don't have the ability, for example, to reheat potatoes where you go, so you're just eating this cold, slimy thing. But I will also say that, you know, if you find what works for you, and I was a big proponent of the golden potatoes because they have a buttery flavor.
Way softer. They cook way faster, too.
Yeah, I found I could eat the heck out of those because I just liked the taste. And,
yeah, same.
And that's really important, obviously. But also, it's nice to just kind of reset yourself and get to just eating some nice, easy, clean food rather than something that's been over-processed. You know, even for those potato skins I mentioned, I was a little off program, I guess you could say. But, you know, I got up early to bake the potatoes for the potato skins, and then all of the, as they describe it, the meat that I scooped out, I treated myself to what I would loosely call potato cakes. What are them dogs doing, man?
They're wrestling.
Oh, you silly puppies. They can't hear me. Listen to me. I'm glad I got to put that in your ears, though. So I made some potato cakes, but I made them more along the lines of the potato hack program, where I the only thing I added to them was maybe a little chicken stock to moisten them up, and then on the outside I actually used potato starch, and then later on in the day I used some of the leftover quote-unquote mashed potatoes that I had, and I slowly started adding potato starch until a point where I got something that I could fully press out, and because I stumbled on this, it was another Tim Steele posting, and you could use this as like a gluten-free pizza crust, and I gotta say, man, it was a tasty snack. It's just a lot of work. So
yeah, it's interesting because like I know within, you know, the Snake River Plain, it's where most of, you know, the United States potatoes come from. Spud nuts are a huge deal, which are donuts made. Which are donuts made from potato dough. Yeah, no, seriously, that's what it is. And I don't know how they're made. We have a donut shop here in Logan that is all spud nuts. But yeah, they're donuts made from potato dough. I have no clue. I'm assuming it's probably a similar process that you went through. The article you sent me for the recipe on it, they looked really good.
Yeah, I even sent you a picture, and they're very tasty. Like even my daughter said, "Can I try one of these?" And she just horked it down. Well, okay,
Yeah.
that sounds horrible, but she she
It
enjoyed
looks
them.
it looked like naan.
Yeah,
Like unleavened flatbread.
yeah, and it had a similar texture. It just tasted very clearly like golden potato as well.
Yeah.
But I could imagine easily using that as a sauce. You know what? Again, let's stop talking about this crap. Because the other thing I want to talk about, Trent, was it's nothing tech. Forget it. I mean, look, there was a thing you heard in the news, and this is horrible. Some guy had one of those vape cigarettes blow up in his face, and he ended up passing away. You know, and of course, the first thing I think when I hear that is, first of all, how horrible, and two, you know, that's just, you don't want to go that way. You don't want to be the guy who got blown up by his vaping pen. You know,
like that's as bad as like the, you know, if the guy whose like vibrator lithium ion battery exploded when he was using his vibrator.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Like there are a couple of ways you just don't want to go, man.
Yeah, you don't want to be one of the Darwin Award winners. But even though in that case, this guy wouldn't qualify. He was a victim, unfortunately. But you know, that was like the maximum I had for tech talk, because everything else in tech is either depressing or annoying, like the FaceTime bug where. For Apple, where people could hear audio even before people were accepting the. Like, imagine somebody goes to use Skype for you, and you're hearing their side without them even knowing, because you're not picking up. That's
right,
bad.
God, I don't want to talk to that piece of shit right now. Turn it off. No, don't answer it. Oh, hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened when I called
FaceTime's even worse, yeah, because people use it as like a phone call.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't even know how far it reached, because you can make, from Apple user to Apple user, you can make FaceTime audio calls too. So if it was, you know, that way, you really had some uncomfortable situations happening. But no, that's not what I want to talk about. As I said, I approached my family quite rudely and said, "Everybody, shut up." And we didn't really get to see a lot in the new Endgame trailer, which is fine, because as I've said, you can't believe what's in Marvel trailers anyway.
Right.
And
yes.
there are 2 points that kind of come up. Now, some people have talked about this in detail, so I'm not really going to go into it. But when you look at those teaser trailers, the way people are positioned in 2 scenes, like when they're walking on the grass outside of the Avengers compound and looking up, it seems like there's an unusual person-size gap between Rhodes and Captain America and Black Widow. And then when they're walking single file through the what I'll call the hangar part of the compound, there seems to be a human-sized gap there as well. So, you know, it's like, oh, well, what are they taking out? But the thing that I found interesting wasn't so much that it appears Cap got his shield back, but this may be one of the few clips we are seeing that may either not be in the first 15 minutes of the movie, or it's definitely not what people should be focused on. I felt the same way when the Captain Marvel real trailer first came out, because like they showed a scree or something on a table, a doctor, and I think Brie Larson might be in the shot. And the thing that I didn't hear anybody talk about is the fact that Sam Jackson is there with a gun in one hand and a rag or a bandage to his left eye. And it's
to
like,
his eye, yeah.
Nobody's talking about this?
Yeah.
And in this case, you know, everybody seems so focused on the fact that Cap has got a shield back, whether it's the prototype one that was talked
Tony
about,
had.
yeah, or whether it's like the actual one or something else. But the part that I kind of focused on, that I honed in on, and it wasn't even the fact that his hand is shaking, because, you know, that's one of the things that's a positive. Homeboy took a full-on punch from Thanos when he got smacked down. And the only thing we've kind of really seen from that is Cap barely get up off the ground in Infinity War and then fall back down with the exasperated, destroyed, oh God, or my God, or whatever he says. The part that I honed in on is that when that shaking hand goes to cinch down that strap, look at the fingers, people. Those are very dirty fingers. Those are battle-worn fingers. So I think what we're seeing there isn't like, you know, a damaged Cap going back into action. I think that is a cinching down of the strap in a final commitment of this is it. Under the threshold we go, in like a final battle sequence, perhaps. I hate to speculate on these things because we'll never know, but again, it's just one of those minor details I'm surprised people haven't been talking about. But you know,
I don't think that that this is the route that it's going. However, it is always fun when you do the Steve Rogers route. So when Bucky after Cap, you know, was killed and then came back, he was just Steve Rogers, acting, you know, for Shield. But then he underwent a thing where he lost his super soldier serum. And so he aged super rapidly. I doubt that's the case. Be kind of a fun way to pass the mantle, though, for him to Winter Soldier, is if like he's hit the extent that the super soldier serum can help him, and the shaking now is from age itself.
Hey, you know, as long as I'm going to be pedantic, why when he was dusted did the arm also dust on the Winter Soldier? You know, and so
all the clothes dusted for everyone too.
Yeah. So if I was like, if I happen to be leaning on a tree when I get dusted, would the tree have gone too? I mean,
maybe.
I know, nerd talk. I apologize, everyone. But that was the only thing I kind of fixated on. I mean that, and you know, like, well, why is Rocket going to visit somebody in some type of fishing shack somewhere? But
yeah,
you know.
Right.
The funnest part, though, after these things drop, sometimes is to watch the breakdown videos by people just to hear some of the things they go on about.
Yes.
Like one of them saying that like there's one rear shot of Thor, and he's holding the axe, and they were saying like, God, it wasn't where I thought he was. They were saying he was somewhere else. I can't remember the place they were saying in like this review video, and I've heard it come up twice. But I thought it looked more like he was in Thanos' hut on whatever new Titan that he sent himself to in his fantasy land where he's gone farming.
Or, as I will continue to speculate, he's trapped inside the Reality Stone itself.
Well, I never even thought about that.
Yeah. He's just kind of like been sucked into it inwardly, but who knows?
Who knows? Well, I don't know, because he got back out and the glove still worked. All I know is the one thought I keep coming back to, I think the Russo brothers really have they really have put themselves in a corner on what this next movie's going to be. I mean,
yeah,
because I can't even imagine. But you know, much like I have said before as well, you know, somehow the solving of this has to be the undoing of it. I mean, look how bleak and dismal Earth looks with half of everyone gone. You know, you've got empty baseball fields. You've got whether they're not used or marooned boats surrounding the Statue of Liberty's island. You know, all of these things, posters, now that they're gone, what do we do, or what have you?
Yeah.
It's obviously very bleak. So this is one of those things where you really have to just have some type of undoing. And, you know, we keep hearing quantum realm. We keep hearing time travel. I love time travel as much as the next guy, but I'm a little worried that this could be a little too much for the major population to go into and accept. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and when you don't have an answer for them, just tell them that a wizard did it.
Or in this case, a magic glove.
It's interesting, though, the point you bring up, though, of like how people are able to glean so much from trailers, and you know the things that they choose to put in trailers. I think it's super interesting what fans dove into the Spider-Man trailer. And looking at like the license plates and the boat numbers of things, which all the numbers on the license plates and the boat number correlate to the issues of Sandman's debut in the comics, to Hydro Man's debut in the comics, and to Molten Man's debut in the comics. I mean, to me, I'm just like, wow, well done, guys. That's impressive.
Well, we live in an age where you can you could not be a super fan, but you could see a number and you could see an image and say, okay, well, let me look up on Spidey Wiki when Sandman first appeared.
Yeah.
So we do live in that, but I still, I will forever fail to notice these. I mean, like details at all. I'm just proud of the fact that I noticed that when Miles goes to his uncle's apartment in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and there's one panning shot, either when Miles is walking in or his uncle is going to open the window, he walks by, and it's the season 2 opening of Community, and it's Donald Glover standing up stretching in the Spider-Man pajamas. That's that's one of the few details I pick up on. That's it. I don't notice most of these things. Usually it's well over my head. You know, watching back on the brilliance of the early episodes of Community, I never noticed the one episode where there's an entire story in the background of Abed getting in the middle, not in the middle, but getting misconceived as being in the middle of a relationship between a pregnant girl and her boyfriend, and eventually delivering their child.
Yeah.
And all that happens in the background.
Or you know, I had to have someone tell me, but you know, that Annie's boobs is always visible in the episodes.
Oh gosh. Or even in the pen episode where the pen disappears, like there's the hand, you can see the monkey's hand come up and steal the pen. Which, seriously, man, I although I did throw a little shade at it about when it kind of jumped the shark, where you can tell things start going from being interesting to, you know, they're just trying to see what they can get away with now, or the very concept has snowballed away from them as well. It's still those first, that first season and at least half of the second season was just brilliant and amazing. And it's been fun to go back and watch it as one of the things, because, you know, I got to do something while I was on the elliptical, right? You know,
Yeah, what else are you going to do?
My favorite part, though, was getting to the end of the second season, and it's yet another paintball episode. And my wife's like, "Why are you watching this again? You just watched this." I'm like, "No, that was the end of season 1.
It's the other one."
Oh,
I'll tell you what, though, as a ginormous like G.I. Joe fan, their G.I. Joe episode is like shockingly good.
No, that was the end of season 1.
It's the other one. No, you're good. Which is how I knew already was familiar with the production company that is backing Jay and Silent Bob reboot film, because Saban is the production company that did all the Marvel Mattel G.I. Joe cartoons in the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm. That is very true. They did. Were they behind the Power Rangers too?
I'm not sure. That they were never in my wheelhouse.
Well, I mean, technically they weren't in mine either. I mean, I could count the number of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers episodes I've seen on my hand. Oh, by the way, I just want to point out too, to my wife's to defend my wife.
Sure.
Near the end of the last episode, if you're watching the video, you saw my daughter come in, and you heard on the audio where she just said, "Mommy says you need to be done now," or something along those lines. My wife pointed out she had that was all my daughter. That was all the 4-year-old, because she was literally
her dad.
Yeah, she did. She was literally. My wife was sitting in the family room. My daughter had given her like 3 of her dolls. And my wife was babysitting while my 4-year-old told her that she was going on vacation. So then she came in here to tell me apparently I was done podcasting for the day.
That's awesome. See, so she used her PTO, Will, to go and be with her dad.
Yeah, exactly. That was her vacation. But, you know, it's not like that sounds like we were divorced, though, and she was having to go to daddy's other house. You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Well, did she ask for her Christmas presents again?
No, she didn't.
Okay, then you're fine.
By the way, Trent, I have to admit that because of that gift certificate I mentioned on Adam, I do already have my tickets to see Captain Marvel on the 7th at 7 o'clock.
Nice, dude.
I will be taking my teenage daughter, Emily, to go see it. I asked her if she wanted to. Her response was, it was a weird word. It was yes with a few S's.
Yes.
I'm assuming that means yes.
Like, duh.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if the kids say that anymore. What was it the other day? I mean, it was a while ago, but I said, "Oh, that's rad," and this student was like, "I really like how you say rad unironically," and I was just like, I don't know, like, if I should be like flattered or like pissed.
Yeah, it's fun. Recently, I've learned terms like "spill the tea," and apparently, it's they refer to each other as sis. It's like, okay, spill the tea, sis. Oh, sis is mad. And at first, I thought that sounded weird, but then I realized, look, it's just as stupid as bro, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure, dude. Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. For sure. For sure, dude.
Now we're just getting caught up in colloquialisms. That's what nobody needs in a podcast, my friend.
No.
By the way, did you appreciate the tweet? Now everyone's just listening to a conversation between us. But I had to laugh about the person that said, I've got a podcast now titled Audio Issues, where we just spend 20 minutes apologizing for the sound on the previous episode. And I'm like, wow, that is like the first.
And how it's going to be fixed in the next episode.
that is like 250 episodes of NetHeads right there.
Yep, at least.
Which, by the way, congratulations, sir, not to toot our own horn, but 290 episodes of anything.
Yeah.
And Ming Chen still hasn't dropped episode 300 of I Sell Comics. So if we can crank out a few episodes in a short period of time, we can finally surpass them suckers.
Yeah. We'll do it. And we'll be like, take that and your like 12 other podcasts that you're working on.
Yeah. By the way, another thing too that I'm noticing trend-wise, there seems to be a much higher participation for weekday recording sessions because
Really?
Well, I mean, we're getting massive engagement on the Facebook side of things, and the listenership seems to be higher too. So maybe that's something we need. If we could actually put together quality content as well, think of the things we could do.
Easy now. Yeah, it kind of makes sense though, because like, oh dude, there is nothing worse. And it's so weird because like if like Sundays, I just have just this dread. And I've had it my whole life, whether it was in school or work. Just Sunday, like afternoon into the night, there's just like this dark cloud that like comes over me and weighs me down, and like I'm just dreading the next day. But if I have like Monday off, I don't have that on Monday going to work on Tuesday. It's only on Sundays, right? So if other people like me suffer from that, it makes sense that they're not wanting to engage with anything. They just, are in their zone of how am I coping with tomorrow? Whereas, middle of the week, they can just be like, oh yeah, this is cool. I'll watch this.
Yeah, I think that's just a universal constant because honestly, my least
worst
favorite
feeling, man.
My least favorite time of any single day is about 1:00 on Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
Because that's the point of the harsh reality that I am now 8 to 9 hours away from having to go back to reality.
Yep. Yeah. No, seriously. I and it's so bizarre because for Civil Rights Day, didn't have that feeling on Monday afternoon going back to work on Tuesday. I was just fine, but by damn this. Any other Sunday, I can't do it. I cannot do it.
Well, the problem is that it's just at a complete imbalance. If you want to look, like if Thanos were looking at the work week, he'd have snapped that stuff away so early on, because it's like, why do we work 5 days and we get 2 off? Well, that doesn't make sense. How about 4 and 3? 4 and 3 is a much better balance.
I think Thanos probably just would have like snapped off the weeks, so we're only gross. So we're only working so our week is only 4 days long, and we're working for those 4 days.
Yeah, good point. Yeah,
that's the balance that Thanos needs.
Very true. God, now that we're getting closer to it, I really am. In some ways, I'm just dreading Avengers Endgame, but do you think that? I mean, like I'm dreading Avengers Endgame like a Sunday afternoon. Do you think that's fair?
No, because man, I don't know, like maybe I'm just jaded, but like everything's gonna be fine, and worst case scenario, things get rebooted so that all these people can move on to new careers, and we're gonna get our next version of all these same characters, just like the 4 now versions of Spider-Man that we've had. in feature films.
But I don't want another Spider-Man. I'm really digging. I'm digging the path that we've got now.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, but you know, he's gonna grow, man. He's gonna grow out of that role, and as I think they found in the comics, right? Like the most relatable, the most loved Spider-Man is a younger Spider-Man. And we've seen them in the comics go through some struggles with him being, you know, now more like a Tony Stark type character, to where that's why they came out with the Ultimate line of comics, and then people were able to get back into like the Spider-Man that had regular everyday problems. That's what people want to read about and see.
Well, I mean, even in the main, in the 616, if you will, you know, they had the whole brand new day concept just so they could dial him back to not being married and being a struggling hoo-ha. And yeah, I think you're onto something, Trent. I really do. You know,
and that's the way it is. That's the way it is with all comic book characters. Like you can only, Chad Harden talked about this at a con once. Like you can there's a central point for all comic book characters, and story arcs will pull them from that central point. But to keep a readership solid, you always have to circle back to that central point, the core of who that character is. Otherwise, people will not like that character anymore.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. Oh, speaking of which, characters, I'm torn. If you go to I think it's eastbaycomiccon.com, you'll see a website that, oh, wait.
This is a reminder. Have any talked enough already?
Yeah, I think we have. You're a good point. Let me, Alexa, cancel. Let me just finish up this thought, though. Sunday, there's in Concord, California, so just over the hill, at a hotel I've been to a few times. You know, it's not the most top-notch hotel in the world, right? You with me so far?
Yeah. Hey, you had me at Comic-Con, right?
Right. Well, John Wesley Shipp is going to be there.
Nice.
And I have no other interest whatsoever in going to this thing except for the fact that he's there. And I'm wondering, I don't even know what the entrance fee is, but do you think I should go just for that one portion of the experience?
Dude, you get to meet a guy who's played the Flash twice.
Yeah, and more so. I mean, he's played I think at least 3 different Flashes.
Is it 3 now?
Well, 2.
Yeah.
Definitely 2, because he played
the 90s Flash, and now he's the Golden Age Flash.
And the 90s Flash again in both.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you think I should go? You think I should?
Yeah, why not? Okay. Plus, I'll be honest, dude. Like the cons that are held in that are in like hotel ballrooms are the ones where you get stuff for cheap.
Okay.
Like that. Those are the cons where you've got like collectors and people who are trying to unload stuff. It's not unlike a swap meet flea market type deal for comics. Like that's what a Comic-Con started out as, right? In like bingo halls and hotel ballrooms. Like if you can still find one of those, hells yeah.
Oh God, do you remember the excitement and the fun of just being able to thumb through the back issues, and it's like, oh my God, they've got Secret Wars number 8 and they've got it listed for cover price.
Yep.
Oh, I miss that feeling. The simplicity of it all.
Exactly.
Now I just cry in comic book movies.
Right, openly weep.
Well, Alexis has told us to bail, and I completely agree. So in the interim, Trent, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and listening, continuing to support this program. Always appreciate it. Don't forget, we do throw up some new and interesting things on our Patreon page every once in a while to our wonderful higher-tier people. I have got your filled-out envelopes right here. They'll be going in the mailbox tomorrow. Since I don't have postcards yet, you are getting a limited edition informational series card based on the Dark Crystal. So those will be going out. Also, when I can, I show you how I disseminate the audio for Smodco's radio production thingamajiggies, and you know, anything else we can push out there. We try to. Not to mention, it's the only place where you can get the full back catalog of NetHeads episodes commercial free. All the premium high res versions. They're there available for you. And you know, eventually, like I said, we'll do even more fun things there. I don't know what. Maybe nudity. I don't know.
Butt stuff.
Well, I don't know whose. Maybe yours, not mine. I'm not going that route. But anyway, folks.
That's where we'll launch the Dildonic Institute.
There you go. That's where the money is. Money is all. If there's anything I remember my grandfather telling me, money is in Dildonics.
Yep.
He was also a little soft in the head. Anyway, folks.
Smart man.
Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Until next time, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm NetheadWW. He is a part of him. The show is NetHeads on Air, and we'll be back
soon.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. Signing off. I know, right? But stop being a little Nancy and deal with it. NetHeads. NetHeads. We'll be back soon.
Goodbye.
This has been a production of Smodco Internet Radio. Sir, only at smodcast.com.
I wonder how many people are going to give us the wonderful feedback on this one of why have I been listening to Potato Talk for 30 minutes?
Yeah, right? For 290 episodes, you bastards couldn't put one thing together. I will say, Will, if you haven't watched it, man, second season is up on Hulu right now. Legion is, in my opinion, the most daring and best shot, favorite comic book television adaptation of anything that's ever been made so far.
That's the one. That's the
Holy
FX one,
shit.
right?
Yes, it's done by the same guy, the showrunner that's doing Fargo.
I don't know why I didn't watch the second season of that, because I know I was blown away by the first one.
Yeah, and oh my God, the first season is just like, man, it is such a mind F. And then you've got John Hamm as a narrator now out of nowhere, giving us like all these definitions of like what insanity and delusion and like all this, I'm only a couple episodes into it, but there is even in the first episode, they work in a dance battle, which I've watched that scene at least, I'm not even kidding, 30 times, because it is, it's so good. Legion, man. If anyone is not watching it, do. It's amazing.
Listen to the man. He knows. He's got the knowing, folks. Legion on season 2, Hulu now. Check it out. Right?
Mm-hmm.
All righty.